I'm Scott Trout, CEO of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. We help men deal with the life changes triggered by divorce, such as child custody and property division, among many others. But life changes also occur after divorce. These changes can make parts of your existing court order irrelevant or harder to follow. If you feel a modification to your court orders might be necessary, talk to us at Cordell & Cordell. We're a partner men can count on.
Contact CordellCordell.com, 1065 East Hillsdale Boulevard, Suite 310, Foster City, California, 94404.
You're listening to Nearly Informed.
What's happening, everybody? Andrew Sleighter, comedian in studio, vibing out to our new music, hard-hitting. Woo! Rights-free music is what it is. I don't know.
That's my favorite kind of music.
Right? For rights-free music, it's not bad. By the way, this is Nearly Informed. Brian Moote. And it's funny because you have to just buy some random music or some license, like free licensed music or something, for like the radio.com has to do it. And some of it is so bad that they'll go, hey, guys, you have this whole library of music. I'm like, who in the hell? This is why it's free. This is garbage.
Yeah, that's nobody's dream is to get started in music and then be like, one day this is going to get chosen because no one had to pay for it.
Because it's free. It's kind of like when people have to do graphics, like graphics departments. This happens all the time in radio. Because radio tries to do everything else but radio now. Like the radio shows are what pay all the bills. Yet for some reason the emphasis now is like digital. Got to put up blogs.
Right.
Got to do this. And they'll just, like the graphics department will just grab, they'll just read the title of whatever the show was about or the segment was about and just like put that into an image search and just put a random picture. Like we had a segment on the morning show about how it just ended up coming up that the people who play flute in the band were always like the biggest floozies in like high school band or something.
Oh yeah, like in American Pie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And we were all talking about like, oh, I remember back to band. I was like, you know what? You're right. All the hot gals, all the hot chicks that were like a little bit on the slutty side were all flute players.
Sex positive is what we say.
Sex
now.
positive. Is that it? Yeah. I don't want to step in anything, Andrew.
Right. No.
I try to stay as woke as possible, but there's just so many lanes I have to travel and navigate now between like FCC for Top 40 radio. And then I'll go over and look at rock stations and be like, how did you just say boner like that?
Oh, you can say boner.
Oh,
yeah. Sex positive.
Sex positive.
Boners are sex positive.
And what they did is they just looked up an image of a flute. And they just put like this big-ass graphic of a flute sitting on a chair.
Dude, you remember clip art? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Music clip art is what we're doing in here.
Speaking of, like, nobody's dream is to, like, no artist was like, one day this is going to get chosen as the first Google image search at this flute I drew.
Like, you know that the longer it's been on there, the more it comes up. Now everybody has... It's even sadder now that I'll just I'll see someone's clip art and they'll try to put their watermark in there and I'll just cut that out on Photoshop. Steal it in. I'm not paying for your stupid like I'll look up something like happy old man as I'm doing a green screen video and I just need like a happy old man behind me and I'm like, yeah, right, I'm not paying for this.
Yeah.
I dare you to track me down. Andrew Sleighter, you can find him. What's your Twitter and Instagram and all that?
My Twitter is @Andrew Sleighter, SLEIGHTER. I try to make it as hard to find as possible.
I like it. Well, because everybody tries to do the AC Slater on you. Then.
Yeah, but that's really my name, too. That's mostly.
That's a good
it
point.
Wasn't as creative as I would like to think. And, it's good to be here.
We got a fun show today. We're going to talk a little bit about Lori Loughlin and the college scandals. I also have Matt Thomas from Brawl For A Cause. In the third segment, speaking of social media, did the Instagram shutdown and Facebook shutdown, did that affect your life in any way, shape, or form? Because I feel like the better a human being you are, the less it affected you.
Yeah, it affected me because I was trying to like, I didn't know, was Facebook Messenger down?
All of it was down.
Yeah.
And it took me...
I was trying to message a dude about a show, so that affected me. But then it was almost a sense of relief because, I don't know about you, but I posted something on Instagram, like, it went through technically, but then nothing was happening.
And
I was like, that's bombs. God, I thought it was pretty
You
good
just felt
post,
like-
pretty clever, And then it was getting nothing. And I was like, oh, well, screw this, But then I was like, everybody on Twitter was like, oh, Facebook and Instagram's down. So from now on, whenever I post bombs, they're like, well, surely the internet is just broken.
Something's down. You know what? That happened to a joke that I had too, and I was super proud of it. And and I didn't know there was a problem.
Yeah.
And then I finally went back and looked, and it finally backloaded all because people were still seeing it. But you're right. For a few hours, I was super upset and hurt about it because on my Facebook page, I know this is such a stupid first world problem, but when you work in the entertainment business, you put yourself out there and you want to get some gratification, especially on a joke, just a text joke.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Those are the hardest ones.
Right. A picture of my dog or my girlfriend or my
It's like a free
family. Yeah, it's like, that's a layup. I'm like, likes. So I put up a joke about if I wish I worked as hard in my life at everything as I do to get the last bit of toothpaste out of my toothpaste roll.
Yeah.
Because I'll stick the bristles down the nozzle to just try to get toothpaste on there.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's really clever, how hard do I work to squeeze every little bit of toothpaste out of that thing? And then it got nothing for a couple hours. And I started to find myself getting feeling angry.
Oh, you guys all buy the Costco packs, and you never need that last little bit of toothpaste?
Oh, you got toothpaste money, huh? all the whitening money that you need. Okay, fine. But it is funny because as soon as I felt the same way though, as soon as I found out that it was broken or down or whatever, I found I moved on quickly in my life from not checking Instagram.
I accidentally deleted the Facebook app off my phone, and I find it impossible to log into Facebook without the app. You know what I mean?
You have to re-log in every time.
So I have a fan page, but my personal regular Facebook.
Yeah,
and
I took that
haven't
off, too.
even noticed. It's it changes your life because you just don't see it, and it's not like the notifications aren't piling up. Then Facebook's noticed, I think, that I wasn't going on there, so they started emailing
they're
me.
needy
Jerry Sanchez just liked Lori's post about, and you're like, oh, I better get back on there.
See what you're missing out over
Right,
here?
it's
you got
so
a little
pathetic.
FOMO on Jerry's post.
Hey, does this happen to you? So when your girlfriend posts something,
Mm-hmm.
does she ask you if you've seen the post?
Yes.
But I mean, not over the web, but ask you
physically,
in person.
or she'll say why didn't you like that picture?
This is the funniest thing happened to me the other day with Heidi. So I'm married, but Heidi tweeted. She rarely tweets. She's not a big Twitter person, but she tweeted, and she's like, "Did you see what I tweeted?" And I said, "No, I hadn't seen it yet." And she goes, "Okay, well." A few years ago, I went down, and she told me this 15-minute story to set up the tweet. I'm like, Heidi, do you know what Twitter is for? It's micro-blogging.
Right.
It's supposed to be the shortest possible version. I don't need the 15-minute preamble to understand your tweet. And if you do, that's not a great tweet.
Right. Listen, you're going to feel real bad, hun, but you're not getting a lot of likes on that unless they just know you and like, oh my God, Heidi tweeted for the first time in a while.
Right, but and I'm like, maybe the tweet was a good tweet, but if it needs the explainer, if you have to watch seasons 1 through 6 of the tweet to get season 7, then I don't think it's gonna work.
That's really funny. I did something yesterday on Instagram that I got myself in trouble with my girlfriend, and because I'm an idiot, and I didn't know that it was down. So, and my girlfriend is logged into my Instagram. She has it on her phone too.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually comes, I did it one time because my phone was dead and we were up in the mountains. So I was like, oh, I want to post some stuff about this vacation. And I left it logged in there. And now it's a thing where she's like, well, guess what? I can look at all your DMs and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, thanks for the heads up. I mean, right. I went over, I did want to go over and look, and I scrolled through and I was like, okay, wow. I'm in the clear. I didn't know how far back she was going to look.
Right.
Before we met, I'm
yeah, that should be a statute of limitations.
Exactly.
Should only go to the beginning of your relationship.
So I was like, that's all good. That's fine. But then I saw that I tried to look at my Instagram, and I was like, God, what the hell? This thing's not refreshed. There's nothing. It said I had no posts. Then I looked it up on Google, and it said user not found. So I texted her. I'm like, hey, did you delete my Instagram? And she goes, no, why would I do that? And I'm like, oh, no, nothing. Never mind.
Right.
And she's like, no, why, Brian? Why would I have a reason to? And at this point, I still didn't know that Instagram was down. I'm like, yo, I don't know. It's just Instagram's not working. And she's like, oh, so you just think that I went through and deleted it? And I'm like, no, I'm not accusing you of it. I just asked. She's like, well, do I have a reason to? And I was, here we go. And now I'm like backpedaling when really I just should have looked at Twitter and seen the hashtag trending Instagram is down.
It was the first 25. If there was 100 hashtags, if they let you go that far into the hashtag rankings, it would have been all 100. It is amazing how much it dominated. Martians could have landed on Earth, and they would have been the third trending topic. It was all IG, and it was just in different variations of it. It was just IG and FB, Facebook, Instagram. They had every single trending topic.
You would have been the front of your house would have been getting just nuked by a laser before you even got to that.
Nobody
hashtag.
would have. Nobody
just
cares.
shows you how dependent we are. That's how you know what? That's how they exposed us. That's how you could do a sneak attack as some sort of battle.
I think they did it on purpose.
They just crash all of our social media, and we're all running around panicking, not knowing what to do, and then you just take over the
How
world.
about this? Elizabeth Warren was out there talking about, we need to break up Facebook and Instagram, and I bet Zuckerberg was like, all right, you guys think you can live without Facebook? Let me turn it off for 5 minutes, and then people lose their minds.
Watch this.
This is Nearly Informed with Brad and Brian.
What's going on, guys? It's Nearly Informed. I'm Brian Moote. We got Andrew Sleighter, comedian.
What's up?
And pal of mine,
pal
friends.
first, comedian second.
It's true, man. We've lived in Seattle, Boston, Los Angeles.
I thought you were going to say we've lived in sin.
Well, I mean, we have lived in
Sinful
in LA.
places. Yeah.
We lived in the house in Boston, that creepy haunted house we lived in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
There was something going on there. I know that the attic upstairs where that one girl lived, Courtney, that room was dead bolted shut or locked on the outside.
Right.
And Eduardo, never really saw him much.
I don't know if people relate to this, but the type of place, if anybody's ever lived in the type of place where you felt like you weren't allowed to go into the living room, that's how I felt all the time. I'm sorry. Am I allowed to have my shoes on in here? It's I pay rent to live here, but I was like, this living room is not for me.
This is when I kind of I thought Airbnb was the coolest thing ever. Until I stayed in one where the person was still staying in the other part of the
I
house.
know. I've done that. Yeah.
I was like, this feels weird. It feels like I'm staying with someone else's relative.
Pitter-patter of feet waking you up in the kitchen. You're like, God! What did I do last night?
By
How
the way,
did I end up here?
we got to tell this story real quick. And in a second, I want to talk to Andrew about, and you guys, I want to tell you guys about my experience at West Coast University's nursing department going through child labor with a mannequin. It was weird. But first, that story from Portland when we were doing the Bridgetown Comedy Festival, and I believe me, you, and our friend Jessamine stayed in my cousin's basement. And speaking of pitter-patter, because they have 3 little kids, we're all pitter-pattering around upstairs, and we were just trying to stay at the Bridgetown Comedy Festival. It was 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were just trying to stay for free in the basement. But it was weird because, I know them, but you and Jessamine did not.
Total strangers.
And we go upstairs, and Andrew doesn't know anything about my family, really, other than their names, Maddie and Emily. And those are my cousins. And we're sitting at the table, and Andrew has no idea that my cousin is a designer for Adidas.
Yeah.
And it was right when those NCAA jerseys came out with the sleeves, right? They look like super tight. Almost
they're like
Lance,
shirts.
Yeah, like Lance Armstrong biking shirts.
Right. They're very soccer jersey kind of.
And my cousin Maddie's like, what do you guys think of those new jerseys? Because he doesn't talk to anyone who's a sports fan. And we're all talking sports at the breakfast table. And he's like, what do you guys think about those new jerseys? And Andrew's like, I hate them.
Tore into them.
Just laid into
And the sad part is I probably didn't even have that strong of an opinion about it, but I just felt like, oh, these are new people. I should lean into whatever I choose. So I try to be funny and entertaining, and just crushed these jerseys.
And Maddie is one of the 3 people who that was his idea. What are the odds of that?
Right.
But also, I guess What are the odds of someone asking you specifically what do you think of those
And
jerseys?
also, lead with the fact that I came. You don't need to make it
That was
this
a setup.
purity test
That
to
was a setup.
see. Yeah, like if you want the ego stroke, just say that you work for Adidas and you came up with this. Oh wow, I love sleeves.
God.
I would have played along. I'm not an
Crazy.
idiot.
I'm a white guy. I hated like tank tops. My
Right.
shoulders were all non-defined and white.
Who would want to? I'm a professional athlete. Why would I want to show off these beautiful triceps?
Where you should have done these jerseys is back in high school
Right.
basketball, where we all had like the white people playing had farmers tans, and we wore T-shirts underneath our stupid jerseys anyway.
Or like not even high school, like middle school. Remember for like the fat kid who would always shoot three. He thought he was a shooter, but he was just too fat to run up and down the court. So he would
He's
just
like
hang out.
trailer,
Yeah.
wide open, trail. It's like, yeah, dude, you're always
Yeah.
trailing.
I wish I ever had as much confidence as the fat kid who thought he was a 3-point shooter on
yeah.
every rec league team.
And they'd always do the
Always like the 3 for 16 line, but just never shot.
and the most convincing jab step ever when you know damn well he ain't going anywhere.
these sneakers have not been
Like,
inside the paint all season.
Whoa,
But, yeah.
just the hardest jab step, as if you for 1 second think they're gonna dribble by you to the right and go to the rack.
I know, and I would always fall for it.
All right, so this a couple days ago, I went to West Coast University. They have a nursing department. I work with them on the morning show because my mom was a nurse. My brother's been going through cancer treatments. We've been like hanging with a bunch of nurses all the time. So they asked me like, hey, would you do some commercials for us and talk about nursing? I was like, sure. Then they're like, hey, we heard on the radio that your co-host just had a baby and you said you know nothing about childbirth, which I don't. Like I did not know that women can start having contractions like 10 days before the water breaks and stuff. I had no clue that happens. Andrew, you're married. Have you guys talked about like kids and time frames and all that stuff?
I am married. We have talked about having kids, but we don't have a firm decision yet. Go ahead.
Oh, my girlfriend is like, she doesn't even want to get married, but she wants to have kids, and she's like, I want to be pregnant this year. And I'm like, I'm on board. I'm on board with that. Like things are finally like going good with my career, but like, with radio and stuff. But,
Right.
You've got a project in Atlanta. So like, let's not freak out. Let's not go, rush. You live on the other side of the country. I mean, if
Right.
you're willing to just raise a baby and I'll just come back every other weekend right now, I'm okay with that. But I have a feeling I'm setting myself up for a lot of angry phone calls.
Weekend dad, Brian.
I would slay it on those weekends,
You would
though,
be a
man.
great weekend
I'd
dad.
be hitting up everybody I know from the radio shows I worked on in Atlanta, where like the go-kart facilities,
Oh,
they'd be
yeah.
like, Brian, that baby is 6 months old. I'd be like, put him in my lap. We're doing go-kart laps.
Weekend dad, Brian. You've already got weekend dad part figured out. It's the
Nail it.
weekday dad.
Yeah,
part
weekday
that's
was.
gonna be
But
tough.
even then, even with the baby around, that's gonna be tough. I mean, I fall asleep about 3 o'clock every day, and I don't work well on no sleep. So you guys have talked about it.
We've talked about it.
Do you have what are any of the factors that are holding it up, if any?
Well, all those things that people probably mention.
Money
I've known
and-
money and where to raise it and all that kind of stuff. But I've noticed, I don't know if it's a generational thing or not, but people don't sugarcoat it. I don't know if they were sugarcoating it from
Back in
my
the
parents'
day?
generation or what, but when we ask friends who have kids, they don't say anything.
Positive.
They'll go, oh, you're up all night, you don't get any sleep, it's all this work, your life changes, and you got to put everything behind you, you can't travel, and then you're waiting for the but it's, I mean, there's no but.
But I
there's
wouldn't
no
trade it in for the world.
They don't say that part anymore. I don't know. It's like no one's making them say that anymore. So we're definitely eyes wide open about it. Sometimes I think we should adopt. Do you ever think about adopting a kid?
I have. My girlfriend wants to have her own children first,
Right.
but adopting is something I worked in the foster system, so I know there's a ton of kids out there who need cool upbringings. They need like a dad who can
they
get them
need
concert
cool weekend
tickets.
dad. They need a radio dad.
You want to go, guys? Want to go to a Clippers game? I can get us in the suite.
Yeah, weekday game. None of the prime prime
No,
matchups.
nobody
but-
good. We can see. Right now we can go see Clippers and the Lakers if LeBron's not playing. That's the only game I can get us tickets to. So we've had all those conversations. It is something like, I guess people say there's no good time, but I agree with you that I'm not hearing like how much. Oh yeah, but it's great.
Right.
And maybe that's because our friends who are in the entertainment or show business part, it really is still difficult, and they because of the sacrifices you make in terms of like the less security, you don't really get to.
I talked to this comedian this weekend named Kira Sultanovich. She's a hilarious comic. She has 2 kids, and she described it to me as like doing comedy. So having kids is like doing
another
comedy
gig,
in the sense that like you like think about doing comedy. It's like you got to travel to get there. It's a nightmare. You might get your bags pushed off, and then they'll lose your bags, and then the guy who's supposed to pick you up at the airport is 20 minutes late, and his car smells like cigarettes, and you get to this hotel. It's not as nice as they told you to, and then you got to get to the gig, and it's half full, and then you do the set, and it's fun, and then you go back to the hotel, and you got to travel and eat crappy food. And she's like, you still do it, though, right? You still, you're not going to quit comedy? She's like, that's what parenting's like. You're doing all this crap you hate for this one little moment. And then you, for some reason, you continue to keep.
It's a bar show run through the Midwest.
Yes, yeah. But you can never get famous at it.
That's funny. So I've never been through the childbirth process. West Coast University invited me up. It's insane. They have this entire wing of their school that is devoted to being like a simulation hospital.
Yeah.
Where they have rounds, they have like the check-in, they have like all the stuff you'd see at a hospital. They have rooms, high-tech rooms that are completely hospital patient ready with high-tech mannequins that you can draw blood from, that they'll have a professor behind a two-way mirror, so they'll be like talking as the mannequin can squeeze your hand and move and tell you where it hurts. And yeah, it's crazy. They put me in the maternity one, and so I went through like a childbirth scenario with this mannequin named Leticia Garcia. That was my Tinder swipe accident, boo. And she was being funny too. They're like, "Where did you guys meet?" Like making small talk, and I'd already been like trying to be funny, like, "Yo, it was a one night stand on Tinder."
Yeah.
And then the doctor who was in behind the glass, which is unnerving. They can all watch you, and and then if you're doing this for like nursing school, everyone's behind. Your whole class is watching you and critiquing you.
And people don't know this, but when you actually give birth, there's secret viewing areas to every birthing room. So if you're having a
like
baby,
an execution,
they can anybody who wants can live stream your vagina.
No way, that's not real.
No, it's not real.
Oh my god, yeah, I don't know, dude. I know nothing. And they're like asking, "How'd you guys meet?" And then the doctor was like, "Mall food court, front of the Panda Express." And I was like, "That's a funny reference, though. The attending physician is Asian, so I don't know if I'd go Panda Express." But now you're putting me in some racist situation. And then they have like the mannequin was squeezing my hand. It was breathing up and down. It had like it was pregnant. They put its legs up in the stirrups. She's like checking to see how dilated the mannequin is. I'm like, whoa, keep the blanket down, because it had like a mannequin vagina that was very accurate. And it was dilated, and they're like, "Take a look." And I'm like, I'm all good. Like, I felt nervous about seeing this mannequin
You're like,
vagina.
I don't want this mannequin birthing vagina to ruin my image of mannequin vaginas that I have at home.
Right.
I've got a pristine one at home. I don't want this one to screw up my...
I felt like, I don't want my girlfriend being mad at me because I saw some vagina.
Right. She's going to delete your Instagram.
I'd be in big trouble today. So, and she's like, "Oh, it's only 8 centimeters dilated." I'm like, dang. And then she put their legs back down, and then they start going like, saying stuff that actually happens, like, listen, do you feel like you have to go number 2? And I'm like, whoa, I don't need any, like, does this mannequin poop too? Like, I've heard that happens during birth sometimes.
I've heard that too, yeah.
Then that totally is a weird thing that they keep a secret from you, which I think they should for as long as possible.
Right.
And then they're like, she's 10 centimeters dilated, and then I have to hold the mannequin's head up because they're supposed to put the woman's like chin towards their chest, and they're like, push, and the mannequin's like, like yelling and stuff in pain and grabbing my hand, this high-tech mannequin. And they're like, "Oh, we can see it." And I could see the baby like kind of coming out, and I'm like, "Oh my god." Then they pull out this baby that's all covered in like slime. And I mean, I'm assuming it's synthetic. I don't think it's real.
I would hope. Yes.
And it's got an umbilical cord, and they're like, "We need you to push one more time to get the placenta out." And I'm like, "Whoa!" So then they do that, and then I cut the umbilical cord, and they hand me this gooey baby, and then they got to put the baby on the mannequin's chest. And I at the end of it, like, we were walking out of the room, and the mannequin at this point they'd like turned off, and the doctor came in, and she's like, "You did a good job." And I'm like, I'm all flustered. I'm like, "Is she okay?" Like, it was just it was the weirdest experience.
It's crazy that, like, well, a couple things I thought. So first, it's crazy that they can simulate the whole experience. You know what I mean? Like now we can just build robots for basically entire experiences that we need you to learn.
And you get
before
that
you actually do it with real people.
Well, and that's what I asked him. I said, look, how in demand is it? Like, oh yeah, a lot of OB hospitals, their OB nurses will, if they've been out for a while or something, they'll have them do a refresher course because they ran it like a real birth. Like they were paging the doctor, like we're at 8 centimeters, and I'm like, what in the hell? I think every man should go through one of those
But
things.
then the other thing I was thinking of, like, you know, sometimes people do these home births with like doulas or whatever, and they're not doing mannequin training.
No.
I don't think. Like,
also,
when you have that many fluids involved, you're supposed to go to the hospital. When you have more than 3 things secreting out of you at one time, it's time to go to the hospital.
And like hoses you got to cut and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, they were like, oh, it's good. There was no ripping. And I'm like, ripping?
Yeah.
Like you got to get stitched up. Then you got to go to the hospital to get, you don't want that thing not getting stitched up. It'll just leave it flappy like a windsock.
It's good to know the truth before you get involved.
I mean, it was insane. All right, coming up next, I'm going to talk with Matt Thomas from Brawl For A Cause. And then to close out the show, Andrew and I are talking about Aunt Becky going to jail. All right, I'm just going to go to segment 4 now.
Find Nearly Informed on Instagram and Twitter at Nearly Informed.
What's going on, everybody? Nearly Informed, rolling into segment 3. I'm Brian Moote, at Moote Points on Twitter. This is a cool segment. I'm excited about this one. We got an interview. It's rare that I do phone interviews on the show just because I feel like the audio content's not as good, just never sounds as good. It has to be an interview I want to do, and that's why I'm excited about my interview today with Matt Thomas from Brawl For A Cause. What's going on, man?
Brian, thank you so much for having me on, man. And thank you for accepting your role here and bringing me in via phone.
It is, man. It's funny because like phone technology, as much as it is changed and enhanced, like cell phones can be brutal. And I feel like if you're not interesting and it's not some people like are finding entertaining immediately, or you're not Kevin Hart and they're like, ooh, let's hear what he has to say, people just check out. But so before we get into, Brawl For A Cause and kind of my experience last year boxing, and Mercedes-Benz, just give us a quick background on where people can find you and what Brawl For A Cause is, because I got to be honest, man, I've been watching the Instagram stories, and I think the event this year is going to be unreal.
Dude, I'm so excited to dig into that. So real quick first, my name is Matt Thomas, at Matt Thomas _ on Twitter, and Moving With Matt on Instagram. I'm the founder of Brawl For A Cause, at BRAWLFORA Cause, CAUSE.
And follow him
on all of social media.
Follow him on everything, because I didn't mean to jump in, but you're Moving With Matt and like your travel pictures, you've inspired me to go to the elephant sanctuary in Thailand. Like that's on my bucket list, to go play around in the water and the mud with elephants. That was unbelievable when I saw that.
Dude, they're just big puppies. They're so much fun to play with. You got to go do it.
So my girlfriend and I think we have a gopher on our. I set up these security cameras on our back patio, and there's been a gopher that's been chilling at night, and I've realized that if it is in any way, shape, or form an animal that looks cute, I'm going to try to domesticate it. So there's no way I don't try to bring an elephant home. But I don't mean to sidetrack. I just forgot. I wanted to put the pitch on for if you want to live vicariously through Matt when he travels and does fitness and all sorts of cool stuff. Follow him on all his social media platforms. So, all right, let's get into Brawl For A Cause.
Oh, yeah, come hang out. But yeah, so the brawl. Here's what we're all about, right? And Brian knows this well. People have been following Brian for a while. I've probably seen some of this stuff. But for those that aren't familiar, what we do is charity boxing events. But here's the thing. Instead of boxers, we get first-timers like Brian last year.
That's right.
To sign up for a charity they personally believe in. They run a fundraising campaign for it while we train them up for 8 weeks. So we lead them through all kinds of intense boxing drills, and they're getting punched in the face before their big day when they get to step into the arena and literally fight for what they believe in. So everyone that donates to this person's campaign, everyone that buys tickets gets to come out and watch their friend get punched in the face for what they believe in.
And it's not just like, it's not fake, like let's throw a couple jabs, because that's what I kind of thought. I mean, I didn't think it was fake boxing, because it's real. You got to register for USA Boxing, which still makes me laugh when they'll send me emails for, hey, Brian, don't forget to sign up for, this national box. I'm like, guys, it was a one-time thing for me, but it makes me feel kind of cool. But I remember when I was doing Brawl for a Cause last year in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is in Atlanta, and it's huge, and it was super fun. I thought it was going to be just kind of like, sparring, like punch, here we go. But as soon as somebody lands a hard right on somebody, it's like, oh, it is on. I don't want to get embarrassed in front of anybody right now.
100%. And so a lot of people's experience with boxing is like pro boxing, right? Where they're talking a bunch of shit to each other before it, and they're going in there and trying to kill each other. Like that's not really what we're about. Like leading up to the event, you're training with the person that you're going to be fighting. You're co-promoting your matchup to raise as much funds and awareness for your charity as possible. So you're kind of like friends leading up to the event.
I still
and
text
then for 6 minutes.
I still text with Dusty Rutherford, the guy that I fought last year. Like he's a buddy.
Dusty is the man.
Yeah, he's a
and he'll be back in the ring this year. He's coming back.
Oh, I know. We'll get into that in a second. So keep talking because I saw who he's going to fight, and I wanted to talk about how legit the fighters and the matchups look this year in versus last year.
Oh, for sure. But so as these two are working together leading up to the event, selling tickets, fundraising, all that kind of stuff, it all gets to this moment where like you're scared no matter who you are when you step into that ring. Like there is inherent fear because you're going to be fighting another human being for 6 minutes, right? So for those 6 minutes, you're challenging each other. You're unlocking things about each other that you aren't able to access on your own. It's only through going through that extreme kind of brawl that you can learn these kind of things about yourself, that you can raise this level of funds and awareness for your charity. And that's what we're all about.
And that 6 minutes does feel like forever. And it's funny because my fight, I can go back and play it through in my head, and it feels like it was an eternity. And I remember, I got him on a standing 8 count twice, which once I needed because I was just gassed. And then I watched it back on Facebook Live because people were Facebook Living it, and it went by so quickly on Facebook Live that I thought to myself, there has to be another part. Are we missing a couple rounds of this fight? But that's just because your adrenaline is slowing everything down. And you are 100% correct, man. When you get ready, the nerves, and you come out, it's kind of a blur. And it's not until afterwards where you process, oh, my God, I remember like looking out at the crowd. I remember every moment of it. But when you're in it, the adrenaline is so intense that you just you're just waiting for everything to happen. It's really wild.
Well, yeah, and those are the moments I live for, Brian. It's like that level of intensity, every second feeling like an hour. Like you aren't doing any more living like that in any other walk of life. So it's a really cool experience to do at least once. For a lot of people, this is a bucket list item. So, when they're in their rocking chair in their old age and they're telling their grandkids stories, they can say, hey, at least once in my life, I stood up and I fought for what I believed in. And let me tell you about,
and those social media.
On the field of Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Those pictures are timeless. Yep. Tell you what, man, those pictures are like some of my biggest hits on all social media platforms are the ones where they're like, are you boxing in the stadium? I'm like, yeah, man, pretty crazy experience.
Hey, anything for the gram. If it takes signing up to fight or train for 8 weeks to fight for a few more likes, yeah, I'm not going to prohibit that. But I encourage it.
So this year it's at the Georgia World Congress Center, right down near Mercedes-Benz, and people can get tickets.
It's literally the building. Yeah, it's right next door. Sorry to jump in, but tickets are at brawlforacause.com or on our partner site, givebutter.com/brawl2019.
Yeah, and go get them now. It's still a big venue, and I think that the being a little more intimate than Mercedes-Benz last year, I think the energy is gonna be electric. And I got to be honest, I've been following. I follow you, and I follow Brawl for Cause, and I follow a lot of the trainers. And X3 Sports specifically, I follow those guys as well because I used to do kickbox training there in West Midtown in Atlanta. But, man, like, I got to be honest. I feel like the guys this year fighting and the girls that are training, they are at a level that we were not quite at last year in terms of the fighters for our matches.
So the ladies are on a completely different level this year, and we'll talk about that. But first let's talk about your old match from last year, the brawling preacher from South Georgia, Dusty Rutherford.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of the guy that he's boxing, and the guy looks like the Juggernaut. He looks like a Marvel character that's in Infinity War. And I texted back like, man, I mean, at least pictures of me, I was smiling. Like, this dude just looks like a beast. And most of the guys I've seen boxing, not only do they look like beasts, but they're training hard.
Oh yeah, training is on a whole nother level this year, and I love all the like group events that we're doing where everyone comes together and we do a live sparring day where people are going in against each other, seeing how each other's styles match up, getting popped in the face. That is so important for a more entertaining event, like final event on April 6th, right? Because now they know what that punch feels like, and they're going to be able to mentally push past that pain or that setback and keep going with the fight. And so to address Dusty's matchup, a guy named L.C. Reese, he's a former serviceman from the Marine Corps, and he's a fitness professional. So he's used to doing heavy weights, which is why he looks the way he does. He's really like a Tyson build. But Dusty, I mean, you know this well. He's long and lanky. He has that reach. He can pop you from far away. So that's really going to turn into an outside fighter versus inside fighter kind of matchup where LC is going to do well if he gets in tight, throwing those uppercuts and those hooks, and Dusty's going to do well if he can stay away, pick LC apart, and wear him out a little bit.
Well, also, it needs to be mentioned that Dusty just has some good old-fashioned country, I'm not going to get knocked out in him. You know what I mean? Like, I came at him pretty strong a couple times, and he just is like a bear. And that was with like he just started boxing, and now I know he's got one fight behind him, and he's been training. So you're right. I mean, I'm excited for it. It just to me, it's funny because, and I'm glad because I think that this year is the year where people go and they're like, that was real boxing. And so you have women's fights too. You have women's fights too.
Dude, so we're going to have like a co-main event this year with one of our female matchups, and I got to tell you about them. So there's this amazing gym right on the Beltline called the Training Room. Have you ever been there, Brian?
I've seen it on Instagram and things. I haven't been down. I mean, when I'm in Atlanta now, I'm lucky if I get, 10 minutes of jump rope and some heavy bag work and take my dog for a jog at my house because my girlfriend's like, let's go to brunch. I'm like, all right, hold on. I got to do some jumping jacks.
Brunch over barbells, man. I respect it. But if you do get a chance, right on the Beltline before you get to Ponce City Market, amazing gym, the Training Room, and the owner of it is Amber Goppert. She was a college basketball player. She went into the fitness world, has this badass gym. She's had an 8-pack since she was like 7 years old. Like she's an incredible athlete, and by far the most intimidating person that I had to match up this year.
Really?
Just because she is so athletic. She's so driven. Like any goal that she has, she crushes. I was just like really worried about who am I going to put her against. And her match this year is a girl named Erica Rodriguez, and she is a single mom. It is her and her little daughter against the world. And she has signed up to fight for a surgery for her daughter, Sophia, to be able to walk without the help of braces.
Jeez.
So her little daughter, 5 years old, Sophia, has arthrogryposis, where muscles don't develop in her limbs. So she basically is going to be dependent on Erica for the rest of her life if she doesn't get a surgery like this. The surgery like rewires all the veins and muscles in her legs so that she can walk independently. So when Erica signed up, she's like, hey, my cause is way too strong. My why is there. I will fight anyone. Bring on Amber.
Man, that's
so she has been training.
That is an intimidating situation because I felt like I was fighting for Bert's Big Adventure, which is, taking kids with chronic and terminal illness and their family to Disney World. Dusty was fighting for, I believe, anti-human trafficking. So we had some causes back and forth, but a cause that close to home, and that she's going to be a crowd favorite. I hope I hope everyone knows that.
Well, yeah, and it's an amazing campaign for an amazing cause, and Amber's is amazing too. She's fighting for partnership against domestic violence because her mother was in an abusive relationship, and she lives with her mother.
Wow.
So it's these two, and that's the beautiful thing about Brawl for a Cause is it's not just like a rough and rowdy style, get in there, throw haymakers, make fun of the people in the ring. We're the opposite of that. It's like everyone has a really good reason for facing their fear and being in that arena. Everyone has a really good reason to be putting themselves in harm's way for this thing that's bigger than themselves, this cause.
Man.
So we really try to prop up our brawlers and showcase them for the heroes that they are, because they're everyday people. They're just like you and me, but they're deciding to do this exceptional, extreme thing for the change that they want to see in the world.
I mean, that's amazing. All right, before we get out of here, because we're running a little long, but that's fine because this is actually, I enjoy talking about it. I would like to hear everyone's stories, but where can people go right now to see all the fighters, see them of their stories? I know donate to the causes that they like, and then also buy tickets and follow the event.
Yeah, so every brawler has their own profile, their own campaign talking about their cause on our partner platform called GiveButter. So the URL is givebutter.com/Brawl2019, and that's where you can find Erica's campaign and story, Amber, Dusty, LC Reese, and all the other 26 people that we have competing in this next event. So go check it out there. You can also buy tickets through there. And then if you want to follow along with the social media that Brian brought up earlier, it is at Brawl For A Cause, BRAWL for a cause, on all the social media outlets.
And I'll add Brawl For A Cause, some photos of me last year with a swipe up so you can swipe up and buy tickets this year. Matt, I'm looking forward to the event on the 6th. It's going to be a blast. And thanks for taking the time.
We need to say, Brian, one thing we need to say is you are officially retired from the ring. You're hanging up the gloves, but you're putting a mic in your hand this year, so you're going to be able to commentate this journey that you went on last year for all these 30 new bloods.
You know what, man? I'm going to stick to my strengths, which is trying to bring, have a little fun in the ring and bring some personality out and make people, be that person that helps engage the audience. And I don't think we're not going to be short on any entertainment because it's going to be a blast this year. But April 6th, go get your tickets. Go to either Brawl For A Cause right now or go to Moote Comedy. I'll have a swipe up for it and another reason to post my awesome pictures from last year. So, Matt Thomas, Brawl For A Cause. Thank you, my man. I'll see you soon.
Love it, man. Thanks for having me on. Brawl on. I'll see you soon.
This is Nearly Informed with Brad and Brian.
So make sure you hit up Matt Thomas and Brawl For A Cause at Brawl For A Cause. Andrew, did you see it when I did that boxing match last year?
I did. I did see it.
Oh, yeah, you're the one who said it looked like I was fighting a real fighter for my Make-A-Wish. Because my fighter, Dusty, was just shredded.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but you won. It also reminded me of I don't remember if you I don't know if we talked about this or not, but do you remember those trucker fights? It's like on Spike TV.
Yeah, I
for
remember
a while.
like random. They had
these
like
weird
tough guy or something like that.
Yeah, tough guy competitions. Yeah, and it was like just like truckers who bar flies and stuff, and then they'd last for like 30 seconds and like pass out.
They just get so tired.
Right.
Oh my god.
And then you realize like when you watch a bar fight in the movie, it always goes on and on and on and on.
Someone's on a counter getting dragged down, like
and then they're like,
in their face.
and you realize I'm not in a lot of real fights, but you can survive any fight because like 30 seconds, these guys are gonna lose all their gas. Like you're not gonna have to survive.
I mean, if somebody gets knocked out, it's always on like the third or fourth punch, and it's just a wild cockback haymaker lucky shot. And I always, seeing somebody, I don't think people realize like getting knocked out. When I got knocked out boxing with my trainer, now I did well in my fight in Atlanta, but I was boxing with my trainer who also was training for the Olympics. And he's shredded, and he's my weight class, and dude caught me with a right hook, and the lights went out. Like, I've never been knocked out boxing. I've knocked myself out doing other stuff. Like crashing and skateboarding and snowboarding. Like, one time hitting the backboard on a trampoline when we put a basketball hoop next to a trampoline. Like, just dumb stuff, dumb kid stuff.
I just imagine because people probably know this, but Brian grew up on like a farm with all these crazy tractors and animals, and
dirt bike jumps and stuff.
And I just think your whole life is an America's Funniest Home Video.
It was,
if someone
dude.
just you have every stage of America's Funniest Home Videos.
At some point in time, someday when I pass away, they're gonna be like, "This guy has CTE. Was he a football player?" Like, nah, he just grew up on a farm. I got hit with tree branches and paintball guns. And
he's just real country.
He just led with his face a lot.
He didn't have cable growing up, so
he had to entertain himself.
He had to use
outside.
his head,
So, this boxing match, but a lot of people don't understand that when you get knocked out, it's like lights out, no one's home, and your legs buckle. So I sprained both my ankles because your just legs buckle like someone cut the strings on a puppet. So you'll blow out your ACL.
And this was your trainer?
Yeah. But this was a week after my fight. I just was feeling super confident. So
okay.
I came back to LA from Atlanta and I was like, Corey, dude, I'm feeling good, man. I think we should spar once a week. I want to stay tight on my boxing skills because deep down inside, I didn't listen to my girlfriend and my mom saying I'd never box again.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, boom, knocked out. And then his trainer came out, who's training for the Olympics. He's like, Corey, what'd you do? What are you doing? And he's like, well, we're just sparring. And he goes, did you lose consciousness? And I'm like, ah. And he goes, you did. Because he's like, you know more.
Yeah.
Like, nah. Like, you're sparring and you lose consciousness, that's the end of your sparring match. Or when you bleed or whatever.
That's usually, if you get knocked out by your trainer, that's your trainer's way of telling you, I don't want to train you anymore. It's like, and I'm done with this. Pow!
Am I late on, Venmoing you money for these
right?
sessions? This is ridiculous. All right, before we get out of here today, do you know much about the college admissions scandal?
Oh, yeah, I'm deep.
I find it so fascinating. I find it fascinating. If you don't know what it is, it's right now Lori Loughlin and what's the woman's name from
Felicity Huffman.
Felicity Huffman are two of them. They've been,
but it's massive. I mean, they're just the two famous ones.
Right.
But yeah,
they've been indicted. They're on $1 million bail too, which is crazy. That's R. Kelly bail money.
But it's nothing to them clearly because look what they paid to get their kid in care. The best part of it. To me, I'll start at the best part, because you played college sports.
Yeah,
you were on a college basketball team. Could you imagine, the guys at the end of the bench getting their way bought onto the team? Because that's essentially what happened. Was
every white dude?
Were they bad enough? Were they bad enough to?
Oh, to not even be able to be a practice guy?
Right. There's no way, right?
No. Our team, the worst guy on the bench, which was me for a couple years. When I was a freshman and sophomore, I was probably out of a
and
team
this is
of
basketball.
out of a team of 11 or 12, I was probably the third, fourth guy off the bench.
So their idea was, you're too stupid to get into USC, but we let a lot of stupid people into USC if they're good at sports, right?
True,
so we can't hide you on a basketball team. There's no way. Right. We can't hide you on a golf team. I mean, you're going to be exposed in 2 seconds. They hit him on the crew team,
which is hilarious.
Which is hilarious to me because it's you can row,
I
right?
mean,
but
you ever been on a rowing machine?
They said no, we haven't. So what they did was did a fake photo shoot.
That's so amazing.
So these girls who clearly know they're cheating their way into college because it's wait, why am I taking a picture in this boat and then you're in front of a green screen? Don't worry about it. It's just it's part of your SAT prep. And then they were on. I don't know. Were they on the crew team? That's the part I can't figure out.
Here's what happened. So what they did is they exposed the loophole where athletes, and this is why the coaches are involved.
Yeah, because they were taking the bribes.
Right, because the coaches then have to write a letter to admissions saying, hey, we're really interested in Lori Loughlin's daughter for the crew team. I mean, this chick is and they would tell them in their admissions essay to write, I've always dreamed about being on USC crew. This is what I've always wanted to do and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So admissions would put them in a different stack. Right, they put them in the prospective athlete stack because they don't want, let's say Duke, right? They don't want Zion Williamson going into the stack of people being evaluated on their own merits.
So they were walk-ons with privilege, they weren't
they were
scholarship offers.
Not yet. Well, they were. You can't get a scholarship offer until you're admitted to school, right? You can have a letter of intent signed, and you can say, hey, your scholarship is pending. Pending your admittance to school. But certain things like the crew team, they don't have enough scholarships to be offering all willy-nilly 50 scholarships, right?
Right.
They only have a certain number of scholarships, and there's going to be some rowers that are non-scholarship rowers. But what it did expose is how little they put into back to checking any of the stuff for athletes.
Right.
And just going oh, Coach so-and-so said this person's good at soccer. They fit all the bare minimum requirements that would not get them in if they were going head to head with people just going there for school.
It's a dark day for rowing. That's
And then a lot of times for like soccer, when it was like rowing, I don't think anyone ever checks up on it. They don't really care. And they don't have all the people aren't on scholarships. There's non-scholarship rowers as well. But like for soccer, they would then have to like get paperwork of an injury. Like, why didn't they play? Because once you're admitted to school.
Oh, that's even better.
Once you're admitted to school, they can't just kick you out if you're doing well.
Right.
Like if you get hurt playing basketball and career-ending injury,
right.
you can lose your athletic scholarship, but they can't kick you out of school.
As long as you're willing to pay your tuition.
Right, as long as your grades are maintaining a certain level. So it's actually a pretty clever loophole. It's just the bribery part with the coaches. Like I'm sure it's been happening forever at schools where like, hey, I'm the crew coach, and you're like, oh, my buddy's kid is rowed like 5 times. I'll just say he's a walk-on, and I'm really interested, and he'll more likely he'll get in. I can't guarantee it, but more likely.
Man.
Other thing I think is dumb is this. So Lori Loughlin's paying like what, like $1 million or $500,000 or whatever for both kids, or who knows what they're paying.
Well, that's what's funny is that it's wildly different for different people. You could tell he was just the guy who was taking the bribes, was just taking shots,
right?
Or facilitating the
of
bribes.
Course,
yeah.
Or like, hey, the Yale's going to cost this much, and he's taking a cut. But with these, I don't understand. Just donate $500,000 to the USC drama department, and then say, hey. Oh, by the way, like my daughter's super excited to apply here next year. Watch how fast the drama department's like, ooh, they just donated $500,000 to us. And they'll probably do the same BS that happened anyway. But the schools are just mad because, as we know, it's a money grab for colleges anyway. The schools are just pissed that they didn't get that cheddar. They're like, where was that $500,000 for us?
Right, that it went directly to one of their employees rather than to like the endowment or whatever.
Right,
but, I think that's crazy that we're so accepting of that as a, you know what I mean? I like the idea that we're just talking about this in general because, let's talk about legacy. Like the idea that you can go to school here because your parents, like you have a better chance because your parents went.
Or like your two brothers.
Like why is that again? Can we revisit that now that we're talking
like
about
you
all
can
this?
be it's like multiplicity. Each generation gets dumber, but we still put you in.
I think that's what's happening. I think in America, we've had generations of like people getting stuff because their parents got it for them, and that keeps happening, and it's getting dumber. Like you said, multiplicity.
It's watering down every time.
Yeah, the guy's getting a little stupider, the copy, but these guys remain in charge, and now we just have this whole country with morons making decisions for people, and we're like, wait, what happened? Why is everyone stupid making all the decisions? Yeah, because it's like William Randolph Hearst's like 15th grandkid or something, and we don't know why he got the job.
Well, if you think about it, nobody with a famous family has invented anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like Benjamin Franklin,
no.
his genetic line hasn't invented nothing.
Right.
It's all people who came from nothing who had to then learn how to be ingenuitive.
There's still Kennedys, like, in Congress, and I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't know. I'm sure he's doing a fine job, but is he actually the best person that you could find, or is it because he's a Kennedy?
I think like it depends on the family, because I think Jeb Bush blew that whole Bush family thing wide open. They're like,
George Bush.
George tried to, then Jeb came in and they're like, we can't handle this.
We're not doing it again.
All right, Andrew, where do people find you again?
At Andrew Sleighter, Sleighter, Sleighter.
And catch him at the Atlanta. Catch him at the Laughing Skull Comedy Festival. I'll be back out there too, so we'll be hanging out at my house. Maybe we'll do a live show from my house in Vinings.
The people are clamoring for it. I can feel it.
Are you clamoring for it? Tweet at me at Moote Points. This has been Nearly Informed. Thanks, guys.
This is Nearly Informed. If you like this show, find it on the radio.com app and subscribe.
An interesting creature inhabits the flat, arid plains of many an automobile dashboard, the bobblehead. It's most agreeable and will nod along to anything, despite having no brain function. But when the bobblehead hears how Geico not only saves people money, but also gives them access to licensed agents 24/7 online and over the phone, he'll nod even more vigorously, because he knows you should switch. Because yes, switching to Geico is a no-brainer. Easy, bobblehead, easy. You're going to get whiplash.